There's a reason so many people wake up already feeling anxious before anything has even gone wrong yet. It's not random and it's not weakness. There's a real, measurable spike in stress hormones that happens right when you wake up. And what you expose your mind to in that window shapes the emotional tone of your entire day. The good news is, Scripture figured this out long before modern science had a name for it. Today, we're going through 5 Psalms that work almost like mental armor for your mornings, and the psychology behind exactly why they work. There's a documented phenomenon called the cortisol awakening response, a natural spike in cortisol, your body's primary stress hormone, that occurs in the first 30 to 45 minutes after waking. This isn't unusual or a sign something's wrong. It's a normal part of how your body prepares for the day. But it does mean your mind is genuinely more reactive and more sensitive to stress in that early window than it will be later on. On top of that, psychologists point to something called attentional priming, the idea that whatever you focus your attention on first tends to set the emotional and cognitive tone for what follows. If the first input your mind receives is news, notifications, or anxious scrolling, you're priming an already stress-sensitive brain with more stress. If the first input is something grounding and steady, you're priming that same vulnerable window with calm instead. This is exactly the window Scripture seems to target with these next 5 Psalms. Not later in the day, but first, before anything else gets there. 1. Psalm chapter 5, claiming first access to your mind. David writes, "My voice shalt thou hear in the morning. In the morning will I direct my prayer unto thee, and will look up." The word direct here means to arrange, to set in order. David wasn't just praying poetically, he was organizing his thoughts under God's authority before the day could introduce chaos. Psychologically, this is attentional priming in action, deciding what gets first access to your mind before stress, comparison, or your phone do it for you. 2. Psalm 23, grounding your identity before the day tests it. Most people know this psalm as being about provision. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. But read again, it's also about identity, reminding yourself first thing, who is actually leading your day. Not your workload, not your anxiety, not your inbox. Verse 5 adds something important. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Meaning your stressors, your fears, your uncertainties are still present, but you're not approaching the day from a defensive position. Psychologically, this mirrors a concept called self-affirmation. Briefly reconnecting with a stable sense of identity and values measurably reduces stress reactivity for hours afterward. 3. Psalm chapter 91, an active declaration, not a passive hope. This psalm is often described as a protection prayer. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress. Notice it says, I will say. This is meant to be spoken, not just silently hoped. There's a real psychological basis for this too. Verbalizing a statement, especially out loud, activates it more strongly in memory and belief than simply thinking it does. Speaking truth over your day before anxious thoughts get the first word isn't superstition. It's both scriptural and psychologically sound practice. 4. Psalm chapter 27, meeting fear before fear meets you. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Fear tends to be loudest in the morning, when the mind is most primed for what-if thinking. What if I fail? What if it goes wrong? What if I can't handle it? Psalm 27 addresses this directly, before the day has given fear anything real to point to yet. Verse 14 adds, Wait on the Lord, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. A reminder that courage isn't the absence of fear, it's choosing a steadying truth before fear gets to speak first. 5. Psalm chapter 118, verse 24. Deciding your response instead of waiting to feel it. This is the day which the Lord hath made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Notice the wording, we will, not we feel like it or once things go well. This is a decision made in advance, not a reaction to how the day turns out. Psychologically, this mirrors what's sometimes called anticipatory framing. Deciding your stance toward an event before it unfolds measurably changes how your mind processes it once it does. Verse 6 reinforces it. The Lord is on my side. I will not fear. What can man do unto me? When you read these 5 Psalms regularly, especially first thing, a few things tend to shift. Your mind is less likely to default immediately to worst-case thinking because it's already been given a steadier reference point. Your emotional baseline tends to stay more stable when stressful things do happen during the day because you're responding from a grounded position rather than reacting from an already activated stress state. David didn't write these because his life was calm. He wrote them facing genuine threats, real armies, real danger. But he clearly understood something that modern psychology has only recently been able to measure. The first few minutes of your day disproportionately shape the hours that follow, and what fills that window matters enormously. Here's a simple challenge to put this into practice. 1. Choose your first input deliberately. Before checking your phone, notifications, or news, decide what will actually reach your mind first. 2. Read these 5 Psalms out loud if you can. Speaking them activates them more fully than reading silently, both scripturally and psychologically. 3. Treat it as a decision, not a mood check. Like Psalm chapter 118 models, choose your stance toward the day in advance, rather than waiting to feel ready first. 4. Stay consistent, not perfect. The cortisol awakening response and attentional priming work cumulatively. A single morning won't transform everything, but consistent mornings genuinely compound. Your mind's most vulnerable window doesn't have to belong to anxiety by default. It can belong to something steadier, on purpose. If this gave you a plan for tomorrow morning, drop a comment. I'm claiming my mornings. And if you know someone who's been waking up already defeated, share this with them today. Subscribe to Grace to Grow. Every week, we explore one mind and one scripture at a time. Let's grow together.